Ages of Alchemy experience. I'm Melissa Victoria. I'm your host and the facilitator of this mini series, which is all about giving you a sampler platter of what it is like to work with me in a full-on 7-week mastermind, which is called Remembering the Future, Alchemy for Artists Seeking Next Level Results. I work with highly sensitive neurodivergent creatives that are typically in some sort of major life transition and that are wanting to amplify their creativity, self-expression, and visibility without shame. That is my specialty. I love it. So, day 4, we are looking at the second stage of alchemy, which is dissolution. This stage is very watery. This is the activation of lunar consciousness. It is using the ash from the first stage of calcination and putting the ash in the water to further break things down. This is the stage that is allowing previously repressed emotions and rejected parts of ourselves to surface. It is the shadow emerging. So when this starts to happen, it can be very terrifying. It can be very uncomfortable. Like we've all had experiences. We've all, obviously, if you're here, you've probably done quite a bit of shadow work already, if you're into stuff like this. And I have found, and one of the things I want to remind you of, if you've done this work too, is that as you move through repressed emotions through however you do that, like I've used a framework of called radical forgiveness, which is really powerful and potent, and I love it for processing emotions and forgiveness, obviously. Once you move through these emotions and this part that comes with the dissolution phase and stage, you create so much space and freedom in your body, which is so incredibly powerful. Like you not only have more capacity to feel you like, how would I say this? You have more capacity to feel, period. Okay. So one of the unexpected side effects of emotional alchemy for me was the ability to really deepen my joy, my delight, my, the excitement for life. Like I didn't realize that by going through this process of transmuting emotions, and whether it's also like obviously in art, right? Like art is such a powerful way to alchemize emotions. Um, and in this process, like we free up space to not only, feel lighter in our bodies because emotions are energy in motion. And if we don't allow them to be in motion, they stay. And they don't just hang out and like not do anything. It actually can cause ailments. So, and lots of other things that I won't get into today. So, I just want to remind you about that. Like, remember, either recall an experience that you had that was, similar to this and be like, oh, yeah, like this, I remember like processing through that made me feel so much lighter. And also, it increases your capacity for the depth of emotional intensity in a positive way too, it not only frees you from those things that maybe you've been avoiding emotionally, but also like allows you to feel good, like really, really, really good. So, um, one other thing I wanted to bring up is, while we're talking about like shadow and emotions, emotional alchemy, is the voices of resistance. So the voices of resistance are something I like to call them this because it's essentially the voices that we have in our heads, the thoughts that we think about that limit us from having what we really want. So for the artist, those voices of resistance often show up in, very specific ways about it can be along the lines of not valuing our work, approval seeking, comparison, those kinds of things, right? So those are some of the voices of resistance that we can experience as creatives. And one specifically, trying to adjust just a little bit because the sun is getting in my eyeballs. So one of the specific things that I've heard so much, and this is such a big one that I want to talk about it today, is what will others think? What will others think about my art? about my self-expression. Okay, so this stops people from creating. It stopped me from creating for a long time. Or at least it also stops you from fully expressing what you'd really like to express, what you really like to say, what you really think, what you really want to create. Maybe you are writing a song and you're like, I really want to say this, but I'm gonna like modify the lyrics a little bit. I'm gonna modulate my self-expression because I'm concerned more about what other people think than what is my fucking truth. Okay. So this is a really important thing that can hold us back so much is this like sort of like approval seeking behavior. And many of us are conditioned from a very young age to be of use to others. We tie our value and our self-worth to what others think and how we can serve others to be good, right? So there's so much to unpack there that I won't get into today, but I also just want to say like uh a couple things I want to give you to like move through like what will others think about my art if you're stuck in that, or like if you're like not fully bringing it with your art or you're like holding back a little bit or you're not as visible as you'd like because you're modulating your self-expression and therefore you're not connecting to people on the level and the depth and having like the magnetic pull that you can because of that that filter that's still that your expression's still going through, that your art is still going through. Um, and there's something to be said about having like a unique filter, right? That's what art is about as well. Like our unique perspective and the filter that we have through our ego construct essentially, and our consciousness is beautiful. But I'm talking about when we're, you know, intentionally or maybe even unconsciously filtering ourselves in order to not experience something that we perceive may happen that would be undesirable for us. So it's like that deep primal survival sort of fear of like, I'm going to get kicked out of the tribe, of the community if I do this thing, right? So I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to get specific about this. Who are the others? When I say like what would like when you're thinking when you're afraid and you're letting fear stop you from doing something that you really want to do because if you're afraid of what other people might think, who are these others? Who are they? So I want you to like identify, is there some specific thought that keeps coming? Is it your is this other your mom? Is it your best friend? Is it a family member that you're afraid if they see your work, like they're going to judge you, they're going to condemn you, whatever. So like you want to be clear on like who the others are. And if you can't identify an other, then it's oftentimes just made up like hypothetical situation that now you're using against yourself. So we need to get rid of that. Like we need to get clear on who this other person is or other people are, where it's come from, if there even is something that you're tying it to that's an actual thing, right? And then the second thing I want you to do is probably going to be a little unexpected. Listen to the song by Sophie Tucker called They. It might be called I Don't Give a Fuck About They. So if you're familiar with it, you know how great it is. So good. I want you to dance your ass off while you're listening to this song. And then, and I'm going to link that song below so you have no excuse. And then I want you to um, actually do something that is unfiltered and raw artistic expression, whatever that is for you, whether it's a statement, a social media post, whether it's whatever, some sort of art, some sort of self-expression. I want you to do it with like the connection of being fully authentic and unfiltered. Okay. Just do one step today. I dare you to, because what this does is it can create a high sensation, but it also creates a high probability of more connection. People want art. They want your art and they want to feel something. They want to have art and experience of art that makes them feel. People want to be moved by our self-expression. And the best way to do that is by showing the fuck up as the real you, right? Yes, you will attract and repel people. Perfect. That's exactly what you're meant to do. This will also increase your confidence and build self-trust. So that's my challenge for you today is to question who are the others. If you identify the others, again, you can now you have something that you can refer to. You hear that voice in your head. Don't say that. Don't do that. Ooh, that might be too much. Hi, mom. Thanks for the warning, but I'm a big girl now and I'm going to do that because that's what I really want. So you can be like that. Or if it's just like the thought where you can't even tie it to anyone, you're going to recall the Sophie Tucker song and be like, I don't give a fuck about they. Who's they anyway? And then take a step in being fully authentic you with your art today. Okay. And yeah, I would love to hear how this goes for you. And I will see you tomorrow for day 5. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.